Alright, guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Armchair Armdrager Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ben Hersick. This is episode 23, and Hell in a Cell happened, and oh boy. We'll get to that in a little bit. What else happened this week? There's a draft coming on, and I'm very excited for that. We've got more AEW versus NXT head-to-head, but all that after this really quick. As always, how I always start these episodes, the Twitter mentions where you can follow me and other various things that I do. I am at first you can follow me on Twitter at Churro Solider. You can follow this podcast at Podcast Armchair. You can follow All Things Combat, which is a website I write for. We cover professional wrestling, boxing, and MMA on Twitter at Things Combat. We're looking for other boxing writers, which would be a very interesting. If you're into boxing and you want to write some stuff to get your name out there, why not? Something fun to do. And also, I am the sports editor over at The Cauldron at Cleveland State University, and you can follow them on Twitter at CSU Cauldron. I just had 2 articles for the past issue, both about tennis. Both will be linked in the description below. Very, very, very fun thing to do. Hopefully I'm not there until 2:30 in the morning almost again next week. I keep saying my goal is 8 o'clock. My goal is 8 o'clock for that. Because it takes forever sometimes. Okay. I'm not going to do... Like, last week was essentially a review of the beginning of the Wednesday Night War. I'm not going to do that every week. If it's like stacked show versus stacked show, then maybe. This week it wasn't nearly as stacked for either show, to be fair. AEW, their big draw was Chris Jericho and Sammy Gravina versus Dustin Rhodes and Hangman Page, whereas NXT's big draw was Kushida versus Walter, which was probably, I think, a little bit better than the tag team match. Maybe a lot better. It's a close one, but I think it's something that's worth looking at because when it's big weeks for either show, you know they're both going to want to outdo the other. And yes, ratings dropped, but ratings are always going to go down from a season premiere. It's about retaining those fans, and I think... I'm trying to remember the numbers. They both lost about the same, to be fair. AEW went from 1.4 to... It was like 1.45 to 1.08. And NXT went from like 0.86 million to 0.75. That's both about a 40,000 drop-off. So it's pretty much the same stagnant status quo, for lack of a better term. But those won't be every week, like I said. Stacked show versus stacked show. Maybe, like if we have an AEW championship match going as an NXT championship match. Like next week we have Tommaso Ciampa going against Angel Garza, whereas Chris Jericho is defending the AEW championship against Darby Allin. I have an issue with this. Cody, when explaining why Havoc versus Allen was a number 1 contender match, said quality of wins matter in AEW. So they are really being serious about this wins and losses matter thing. There's an issue with that. Going into that match, in singles competition, Darby Allin was 1-1-1. He beat Cima at AEW Dark on YouTube that released on Tuesday. He lost in the triple threat with Joey Janela and Jimmy Havoc at All Out. And he also drew with Cody in a 20-minute time limit. Cima's 0-2. Janela's 0-2. Havoc's 1-1, I believe. And a draw with Cody is nothing. Now you look at Jimmy Havoc's record. Havoc, yeah, he won the Cracker Barrel Clash at All Out, but he hasn't done much else. I think he's lost a match. I forget to who or where, but he's lost another one. So it doesn't really make sense for this to be a number 1 contenders match. If there's a number 1 contender, there's only one person in singles action who's 2-0 in AEW, and that's Pac. Pac is undefeated in AEW. Pac should be the number 1 contender. He's beaten Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Somebody show me the math needed to say, oh, Jimmy Havoc and Darby Allin deserve a number 1 contender match before Pac does. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't fly. It's simple math. 2-0 is better than 1-1 and better than 1-1. It's that simple. Pac should be the number one contender. And I will fight that till the end of my days, that he's the better wrestler between Allen, Havoc, and himself. There are other guys who still haven't gotten a chance yet. Moxley, I think, is now 1-0. Shawn Spears, even though he was losing in WWE, is now losing in AEW, so there's that. Man can't just catch a break. It's weird sometimes when you look at AEW, because like there's things that I enjoy, like seeing the Young Bucks lose in the first round and not book themselves to get to the finals of a tournament. And then there are things that I don't like, where Cody Rhodes just gets a title shot. I don't get it. I don't like it. But that's for November 9th. We'll discuss that when we get there. But let's focus on two things that I wanted to highlight this week. We have a draft coming up, which I am very excited for. They released the rules for it this year, and the rules are a little different, and I kind of like it. It's a little complex and a little annoying, so I'm going to try and break it down as best as I can. So with the draft, there are two pools of wrestlers, ones that can be selected on Friday and ones that can be selected on Monday. For example, in the Friday pool, Roman Reigns is in there, Drew McIntyre, Bray Wyatt. That's just to name a few. I don't have the list right in front of me. And then in Monday's pool, there's Charlotte's in there, the Kabuki Warriors, Becky, Seth Rollins, and like that. So they're split across 2 days, which is nice. And since Raw is a 3-hour show and SmackDown is a 2-hour show, they're making it Raw. For every 2 picks for SmackDown, Raw gets 3. Don't know how I feel about that. I would prefer if for every pick SmackDown gets, Raw gets 2. Almost like essentially like a fantasy football draft, where the guy who picks one, like say it's a 2-man fantasy league, which never happens because you need at least 8 to have a full league. So let's say it's a 2-person fantasy league though. Person A gets number 1 overall pick. Person B gets number 2. The second round, those picks are flipped. So you could say that. I guess the way I'm trying to say this is in round 1 you could have SmackDown get the number 1 pick, Raw gets number 2. In round 2 you have just Raw, and then in round 3 you have SmackDown Raw. That can kind of work, I guess. Maybe. I'm actually going to pull up that list that I saw. There it is. And see if there's anybody else like from NXT that's on this list that's surprised. Oh, no, Becky's in the Night 1 pool. Never mind. But, oh, wait. Did I miss one? When I was scrolling, I didn't see his name. Oh, there he is. Sweet. Okay. Looking at it, it's an interesting concept. So I think the numbers are at the bottom. They are not, which is great. WWE released numbers. It's like 31 and 40. It's like a pool of 70 wrestlers, and whoever doesn't get drafted is essentially a free agent that gets signed somewhere. I'm looking to see if there are any NXT talents in here, because there are some I want to highlight, and if you saw my Twitter, you already know who they're going to be probably. Street Profits, we kind of figured they're getting the call up anyway. It's nice that it's finally confirmed at least, I guess. I don't know why Titus O'Neil is listed so high on the night 2. I don't get it, but okay. He's listed ahead of the likes of, I don't know, Daniel Bryan, Bayley, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, The Miz, Ali, Baron Corbin, Elias, Samoa Joe, Rusev, Cedric Alexander, Rey Mysterio. All these people who are better than him, he's listed above as like number 3 in the pool. But whatever. It is what it is. So no NXT talents, which is interesting to note. Aside from the Street Profits, I guess, but they've been on the main roster since, I want to say SummerSlam weekend. Right around that area. And there's... Oh, wait, WWE noted that any undrafted superstars will immediately be declared free agents and able to sign with the brand of their choosing. So, a name I noticed that was missing on here. Let me just double check. The name I was checking recently was just now was Shinsuke Nakamura, because I didn't see him when I was scrolling through it first, and then he popped up with Sammy. R-U-B. Nope. Ruby Riott is not listed. She's the only one off the top of my head that I know that's injured right now. So I was curious if injuries were kind of a thing with this. Sheamus is listed for the, let's see. Find a page. S-H-E-A. Sheamus is not listed. Huh. So I guess injured wrestlers are not technically in the pool. So like Ruby's going to go wherever she wants. Sheamus is going to go wherever he wants. Very, very interesting. So they're essentially saying, hey, even though you're listed as a member of Raw and SmackDown, you are essentially not on the roster anymore. You could end up in Bogota next week, for all we know. However, the four names that caught my eye when I was looking at this list, there's Humberto Carrillo, Akira Tozawa, Drew Gulak, and those three are all in the Friday Night SmackDown pool. And another name that's in the Raw pool that kind of surprises me, Drake Maverick. So are they essentially getting the call up? Because Gulak dropped the Cruiserweight title to Lio Rush on NXT in a very great match. It's something that makes me wonder, because Gulak was looking bigger. I don't know if it's just my imagination or what, but he looks big. So part of me thought maybe he's like trying to bulk up to be with the mid-card and main event scene of NXT. No, he's going straight to the main roster. Okay, that's fine by me if that's the case. It's also interesting to note, Drake Maverick is he? No, I don't want, no phone. Phone, stop it. Do the right thing. Find him page. R-Truth and Carmella are in the same pool. They're both on the Monday Night pool with Maverick. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure Carmella's going to end up on SmackDown. We'll see what happens there. We'll see. But Tozawa and Carrillo are very interesting to me. They've done not as much as you would have hoped for on 205 Live. Yes, Tozawa was a former Cruiserweight champion for 6 days? And I don't really see where he could fit in on Raw or SmackDown. Maybe as a jobber, essentially, but that would be a waste of talent for both him and Carrillo. Carrillo, I see a little more future in. He might be a major mid-card contender. For all I know, they might turn him heel and put him with Andrade, who is listed in one of these pools. I remember seeing his name. I believe it's the Monday Night one. A-N-D-R. Yes, it is. He's actually listed pretty low. Oh, wait. Andrade's there, but somebody's missing. Zelina Vega is not listed. Huh. Interesting. But, so Carrillo I have a little more faith in. A little more faith for, I should say, in his future in WWE on the main roster. Tozawa, I'm a little skeptical about because he hasn't done much in 205 Live. He was in a feud with Brian Kendrick, which kind of seems like it's just going to be scrapped at this point because Kendrick's not listed on here unless I'm blind and missed him. I keep checking this list because I'm like, did I just miss anything? Nope. There was just a Kenny Omega, Joey Janela unsanctioned match for AEW Dark. That's cool. So it's going to be interesting. I'm curious why the champions are in this. Going into the draft, I said this should be the case. Everybody's available. Everybody can be picked. Literally, you can have a big board with everybody's names on pieces of Velcro stuff, and you got to move it around as the show goes. But the champions should remain on their own brands. Becky's the Raw Women's Champion. Why would she go to SmackDown? Brock Lesnar's the WWE Champion, which is exclusive to SmackDown. Why would he go to Raw? Same with Seth Rollins. What's the point of having a jam-colored belt on the blue show? There's no blue jam. There's purple. So, it's stuff like that can get annoying, but I understand why they kind of want to be well, everybody's available, even though we're pretty sure certain people aren't going to change brands. I do have in my article, I have like who I want to see go where. I wasn't going to do this for every single wrestler on this list because a lot of it would just be, I don't care. They're going to the show. But this on that article I did, there's a lot of guys who could use a fresh start, essentially, like a soft reset, or guys in their career where guys and girls in their career where they're like trying to prove themselves and they've shown that they can go. And same with a couple in there that are like veterans who know the ropes and can help the younger guys. It's a whole thing, and I think I had 13 picks for each show off the top of my head. Actually looking at the list. Are they not on here? Yep. I'm surprised. So they also released the 2K20 full roster today. No Ascension and no Colognes really caught my eye. Also, a very lack of Legends, essentially, where they're focusing on the stars of today, which is kind of a nice, refreshing thing, which I'm fine with. Certain guys still made the list, like, Big Boss Man's on there, Hogan if you pre-order, and a couple others are on there. So it's not no Legends, but less. But also, you look at this draft class that we're going to have. This is essentially WWE saying, we know we messed up with this wild card rule. We're going to try and fix everything. Which I'm so happy to say the wild card rule is dead. I hated it so much. I am so happy that it's gone and that we finally have brands again. This is a great day. It essentially died on Monday. After 11 o'clock with Raw, the wild card rule ended. And we are now in a wild card free era. I am so happy for that. And now we're going to see guys who are on the SmackDown roster exclusively on SmackDown. Guys who are on the Raw roster exclusively on Raw. And it's a great day. It's a fantastic day. Now, what I want to point out too is for a little while, people were thinking maybe NXT will be involved in the draft. The list coming out today pretty much confirms NXT is not taking part in it. They do not want any part of it, which I am totally fine with. I do not want to see certain guys go to NXT. Like Cesaro, Nakamura, maybe. Like those guys could work in NXT. They can work. They've worked down there before. But guys like Roman Reigns possibly being a candidate for NXT, it's like not believable. Why would you put the face of WWE on NXT? It would make little to no sense as to why you would do that. Oh God, I just thought of an idea where if they start making these picks and they just go like, Raw's like, well, we want Roman. SmackDown's like, well, we want Roman, but we want Roman, but we want Roman. I'm like, no, stop, don't, please don't do that, WWE. Do not listen to that portion of the podcast, please. However, do listen to this. My Hell in a Cell thoughts. Good first 4 matches from what I can remember. Like I said, I was at work until about 2:30 in the morning on Monday, so my memory's a little bad, a little fuzzy in certain spots, and it kind of tapered off after the 4th match. So let's look at the show itself. I got to pull it up, so give me 2 seconds, because I have Crown Jewel pulled up. Even though I'm not going to watch it, I still want to see what the card ends up being. Oh, wait, that's the Super Junior tournament. Where's Crown Jewel? Also, right now, our Crown Jewel is just Team Hogan versus Team Flair. That's just it. I'm fine. That'll be a show I can easily skip and not worry about. Hell in a Cell. Why will Wikipedia not work and show me the results? Okay, let's not talk about the pre-show because you all know my feelings about Lacey Evans. She sucks. It's not that she's bad. It's not that she's bad in the ring. She's not the level of talent that I enjoy watching all the time. She has some good moves. She has some good moments, yes, but like, to be in that, you have to be like the Millie McKenzie, Sasha Banks kind of category where like, I enjoy watching you wrestle because you're good at it. With Lacey Evans, I like watching you wrestle because your character work is good and you can do a couple moves. Millie McKenzie and Sasha Banks could still have no character whatsoever, and I would still be fans of both of them. But that's that. That's the pre-show thought. Natalya won. Feud's over, essentially. She won the last woman standing match on Raw. From what I heard, was pretty good. I was a little in and out during Raw. I had a lot of work to get done. I still have a lot of work to get done. I still have 2 articles to write, and I want one to go out on Saturday, and it's Thursday night. Fantastic. Anyway, the opening Hell in a Cell match was phenomenal. Becky and Sasha are fantastic together. My main question is this. Sasha has failed to win the title twice. What's really left for her on Raw? She can't beat Becky. She's done everything she can. She can't get it done. So why not just move her to SmackDown? But also, Sasha comes back from her hiatus with a whole new fire, a whole new vigor, essentially. And they were just like, no, you're not winning the title. Put on a decent match at Clash Champions and put on maybe match of the night at Hell in a Cell. But no title run for you. Why would you come back to that? Unless there's like a long story they're telling here. Right now, I was talking about this with some coworkers. I don't know who's winning the men's Royal Rumble, and I don't know who's winning the women's Royal Rumble. We're starting to get to Rumble season. We're like 2 months out. 3 months out. We are 3 months out and change from the Royal Rumble. Who the heck is winning either of them? Because you look at both divisions, you have no clues. My best guess right now in the Women's Rumble is either Sasha or Bayley. Because Charlotte as a champion is not going to be in it. Becky as a champion is not going to be in it. With Sasha and Bayley, they're both now former champ and person who can't get the job done on Raw, essentially. Where they're like, we want a championship match at WrestleMania, we've got to earn it. It makes sense in my head why they're the 2 favorites. The men, I'm like, Roman's an easy pick. The Fiend's an interesting pick. But it's like, the woman I feel more confident in right now, that Sasha Banks or Bayley is going to win the Women's Rumble. But again, great match. A lot of innovative and interesting spots. There was the Meteora through the table off the top rope. Becky's exploder suplex onto the chairs. The dropkick to a mounted... while Sasha was sitting on a mounted steel chair with kendo sticks by Becky was maybe the most creative thing I've seen in like 5 years. That was very impressive. And this got the show off to a great start. I was very excited for the rest of the show. We came into this also with just 4 matches announced, and we had 2 of them right away. The other 2, 3, 4... Oh no, we had 5 matches announced. I'm sorry. Wait. 1, 2... 3 or 4. Am I counting this right? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we came into the show. We came into the day like 2 hours before the show with 4 matches confirmed. And then, there's these random matches. Okay. Sure. Bryan and Reigns versus Harper and Rowan. Very fun tornado tag. Very high-paced, fast-moving. You forget how good Harper is in the ring after not seeing him for so long. Also, how good has this run been for Eric Rowan? This is the most of a push we've seen him get in years. And now he's finally being used in a style that we didn't think we'd see. I always thought Rowan was always going to be like the failure of the Wyatt family, essentially. But now he's looking like a main eventer. He's looking like a star. He's pinned Roman Reigns. Not many superstars can actually lay claim to that. What's interesting to note, though, Harper got pinned, and he just came back. So I don't know what that says about his character, the direction moving forward. They weren't... Were they? No, I don't believe they were featured on SmackDown this week. So we'll see what the future holds for them. I also feel like Harper wouldn't come back just for like a handshake deal. There's got to be some sort of incentive at the end for him. Bryan's not a heel anymore, which is kind of interesting to me. I'm not saying I hated that, but I'm more curious as to why is he not a heel anymore? What changed? What's different? Why should we now be, cheering Bryan instead of just booing him out of arenas? It doesn't really make sense to me. It's a weird turn that they've kind of booked themselves into a corner with, and it's the same thing I'm going to talk about with the main event. With the whole who done it with Roman Reigns, they booked themselves into a corner. It was either going to be Daniel Bryan or Eric Rowan eventually. We had a good couple matches out of it. We got Luke Harper returning out of it, which is nice. But the overall feud was just, the ball had been dropped really hard. And the wrestlers made the best of a worst case situation. And now I'm curious as to where everybody goes next. Roman's obviously going to be one of the main matches at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar, more than likely. Harper and Rowan could be in a tag team division somewhere. I'd prefer SmackDown personally, but we'll see. And Bryan's like the guy that's just the odd man out. He's just there. And that's all he is. Which is annoying, yes, because it's Daniel Bryan, and he's one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. But also, it's tough because there's so many things that could happen in this draft that we just don't know. Speaking of which, what's interesting is Randy Orton and Ali was a match made day of Hell in a Cell, which was pretty good. It was a pretty good match. Both guys, I'm curious about their futures. I'm pretty sure Orton is going to go to Raw. I would rather see Ali stay on SmackDown. Part of Ali's deal with me depends on where does Cedric go. Because a tag team of Ali and Cedric Alexander could work very well and help both shows horrible tag team divisions. But we'll see with that. We'll see where the draft takes both of them. But this, for being a thrown together match with no real backstory at first in my mind, was interesting. And I like the idea because it's like, oh, it's Orton versus a younger guy, and Orton can give a rub to the younger guy. And then you go back and think. Think back to Elimination Chamber time of year. Back to February. Yeah, February. Orton is the one that injured Ali. Orton is the one that caused Kofi Mania. If Ali doesn't get injured, what outcome do we see? What's different? Is that Ali's WrestleMania moment? My brain says yes, to be fair. To be completely honest. I think if Ali didn't get hurt, Kofi would have never gotten to the main event scene, never been WWE champion. We would have had Ali, which I'm not going to complain about. I think Ali would be a great WWE champion. Maybe one day. Maybe it's a little too early in his career. But that's the past. But that's the build of this story for this match, essentially. Ali is finally getting revenge for the guy who injured him going into Elimination Chamber. These guys had a good back and forth a little bit. There was the spot where Orton does his classic lift. He's going essentially for a Saito suplex, but he just lifts the guy and drops him back first on the announce table. At one point, I believe Ali got thrown over the announce table, and then the finish was a thing of beauty. There was Orton went for the RKO. Ali countered it by a handstand, something nobody had ever seen before, and I was like, that is really cool. And then going for the rolling X Factor, he got caught with an RKO. Very, very, very good booking. Very slick. Very understandable. Very easy to follow. And now I'm invested in both guys. They did their job with this match, which was good. Kabuki Warriors versus Bliss and Cross. Again, another kind of thrown together match. It wasn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. It's kind of weird looking at an Alexa Bliss match and now being like, oh, she's the good guy. Because she's been a heel for her entire main roster run, to say all of a sudden, oh yeah, no, she's good. Why? What did she do to get cheered by us? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm fine with it. I always enjoy seeing Nikki Cross, and if Bliss and Cross stay together, then that means we get more Nikki Cross, which is totally fine by me. And the Kabuki Warriors acting as heels, I'm curious. I'm very curious, and some people have speculated this. With Asuka and Kairi Sane as heels, is Io Shirai coming to the main roster and we get a Japanese woman stable of evil Japanese heels? Then again, it is the typical stereotyping in pro wrestling of, oh, you're foreign, you're not American, boo. But this would be so good because those three all know a lot about how to be great professional wrestlers. They're so good in the ring that you can even take that heel aspect away at some point and just leave Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, and Asuka as a team, as a unit, and nobody would bat an eye, which is totally fine by me. It's also nice to see the return of the Green Mist. We hadn't seen that since the Cruiserweight Classic, I believe, with Tajiri. So it's nice to see it return. Very exciting times. Very surprised it was Asuka that did that, not Kairi. I kind of would have thought Kairi would have been the one to kind of use a little underhanded tactic there. But we'll see. We'll see how this develops. It seems like maybe we're getting Asuka versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title, which will be very curious and very interesting as to why and what's the story behind it. Well, technically, Asuka is beating Becky. She knows she can beat Becky, so she wants another chance. That's the best I can get right now. But it was also after this match that the card kind of started to dip off. You had Viking Raiders and Braun Strowman defeating the OC with a disqualification. Weird. And now Braun's got this whole thing with Tyson Fury going. I don't hate the Tyson Fury angle, okay? I don't mind it. I'm curious as to what the outcome is going to be. And they have a press conference at about 3 Eastern tomorrow from the arena that they're hosting SmackDown in. I'm curious as to what the rules are going to be of Fury Strowman in Saudi Arabia. Because I'm pretty sure that's what they're announcing. That and Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar. I'll get to that in a second here. That'll be like my closing topic. It'll be interesting to see what's next. I still don't know who's going to be the one to beat AJ Styles for the U.S. Championship. I genuinely have no clue. And I'm like, who the hell is it going to be? Corbin over Gable, it's a match we've seen twice now. Yeah, twice now, and it's like, okay. That was like the bathroom break match to me, essentially. Charlotte over Bayley, kind of saw it coming. I'm kind of annoyed. And I love like on Twitter whenever I do live coverage and I can like nitpick. Charlotte said she was 10-time champion. I had to go on Twitter. Charlotte, just because you're a 10-time champion means you've lost it 9 times. You've been pinned or submitted 9 times to lose that title. It's better to be a fewer time champ with more memorable matches than a multi-time champ with very few memorable matches. Look at what it's exactly what Becky's point kind of was, which is true. But again, it's like something we kind of all saw. And then Rollins versus The Fiend. From what I heard, I have not gone back to watch this match, partly because I've been so busy working. My draft article came out to like 4,024 words, which is very long, yes, but it kind of needed to be to explain stuff. I wrote 2 other articles that were like 600 to 800 words each. My eyeballs are still tired. If I get a chance, I am sleeping in it someday. I don't know when. Don't know when that's going to be. But someday when I get to sleep in, it'll be Tuesday. On Tuesday when I get to sleep in, it's going to be so worth it. I'm going to be so happy. And I'll probably wake up early anyway because knowing me, it's like if I'm not up early, there's so much I want to do that I can't get done. And it's like, poof. My life is annoying sometimes. I'm annoying sometimes. What am I saying? So I heard the start of the match was good. I've heard like the opening portion was actually interesting and something that people were involved in. The middle kind of tapered off, and then the ending. I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to defend the ending. I do agree with what Sean Waltman said. Hell in a Cell should have a winner. That is very true. But I understand the referee's decision. I'm in no means defending it. I think it was a horrible choice too. I do not like it. But look at it from the referee's standpoint. Look at it from, I forgot the referee's name, but look at it from his standpoint. Bray Wyatt had gone through so much, and I believe at the point there was a chair and a ladder on his face. And Seth was going to hit him with the sledgehammer, like normal swing, not like grab the front end and hit him with your knuckles. He told Seth not to do it. He even called him Colby, if you listen to the audio. He called him by his real name. But Seth went and did it anyway. And due to concerns for Bray Wyatt's health, which is understandable. If you have a steel chair on your face with a ladder in there and you're going to get hit with a sledgehammer, that's Concussion City, USA. Population, whoever just got hit with the hammer. It's that simple. I understand why they did that. And I also understand the reasoning for it. They booked themselves into the biggest corner they could have ever booked themselves into. Bray Wyatt was too strong of a character to lose in his second outing as The Fiend, and you would have destroyed that character. Seth Rollins, in losing, would have lost the Universal title. Now the question becomes, who gets the title off of The Fiend? And also, how does Seth Rollins recover from this? They don't want that for Rollins, because Rollins, you genuinely don't know what's next for Seth Rollins if he loses the title. And The Fiend was not the person to take it off of him. He was not the perfect pick. I would have gone McIntyre. And I still say to this day, if McIntyre did not have that injury before King of the Ring, before his first round match with Ricochet even, we're talking about McIntyre versus Rollins in a feud. That's what it should have been. I think. Unless there's a report that comes out and be like, oh, no, the first plan was for Ali to win the King of the Ring. And then I'll be like, okay, understandable. And I'll take all that back. But I still think it should have been McIntyre versus Rollins here. I will say this match, it didn't ruin Hell in a Cell. The Hell in a Cell concept is it's a match so extreme that only the most extreme of rivalries can get in there. You can argue the Elimination Chamber is a little more scary than the Hell in a Cell structure, but you need 6 people for an Elimination Chamber. That's kind of hard to justify. Overall, Hell in a Cell, if it ended with the Kabuki Warriors winning the tag team titles, it would have gotten an A+. It would have been a fantastic show. We would have praised it and loved it, and everybody would have been happy. But with the other 4 matches that happened after it, you just see like the grade going lower and lower and lower and lower. And ending a show that had started off so well with a great Hell in a Cell match, with maybe the worst Hell in a Cell match of all time, just based off of fan reaction and the ending itself. It makes you wonder, how do you save Hell in a Cell? You don't make it red, first of all. You go back to steel. Or black even. But like the inside of it, the inside of the match itself can be fixed inside Hell in a Cell. You can put New Day and Usos together again and make them do 86 bajillion things that make it the greatest Hell in a Cell match in modern history. That simple. Speaking of New Day, it's something that we all saw was coming. We didn't know how quick it was going to be, but we all knew it was coming. Kofi Kingston is no longer our WWE champion. Brock Lesnar is. It's a tough decision to even get behind. Like we knew it was coming. Everybody knew it was coming. Everybody and their dog knew it was coming. And your dog doesn't even understand English. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm not a dog and I can't tell you. But it sucks because you could tell with Kofi as champion, you had somebody who was super happy to be champion. He was super excited that he finally is a champion in WWE. And now Lesnar's in charge. Lesnar's running the show again. And he doesn't care. He's not going to show up every single week. He's not going to be a main commodity. And Fox is going to realize this. Unless 7 million, billion, trillion, whatever the number was for the deal, dollars is enough to make Brock show up week in and week out. And possibly have a match here and there. On free television, mind you. But it was more, I don't want to focus too much on the match. I focus on that a little bit in my draft article. And that'll be something you guys can read here in about math. In about 13 to 15 hours-ish. So, what I want to focus on is what happened after the match. Rey Mysterio's music hit, and now comes Rey with somebody else. Not going to lie, I, like a lot of other people, thought it was Dominic. Like, Dominic had just shaved his head, and we were like, oh, okay, cool. Can't wrestle with glasses on, so it's understandable. He's got contacts. And then it zoomed in, and I'm like, that's not Dominic. Zoomed in a little more. I'm like, that's Cain Velasquez. And then it clicked in my brain, like, they signed Cain Velasquez. Oh, my goodness. Where it's like, this it's going to be interesting to see what Velasquez goes, because Velasquez is maybe 2 to 3 months into his pro wrestling career. He's still technically, from all intents and purposes and reports, not signed with WWE, but he showed up on SmackDown. Now, with that, and with what Cain Velasquez has done in 3 months, most wrestlers could wish they could do in their entire career. He went to one of AAA's events, and just stole the show. Nobody was expecting to see him compete so well for such a new wrestler. And the fact that they get to see that was something else. Can he do that with Brock Lesnar? That's what I'm skeptical. I don't know how much Brock wants to bump, first of all. Also, I'm curious as to, what exactly can these two do that they haven't done before. Yeah, you can easily have Cain Velasquez doing Hurricane Ranas and triple somersault planchas or whatever he was doing in AAA. But it's Brock Lesnar. Brock works so well with small guys in pro wrestling that him working with Cain Velasquez almost seems like something that's not going to work. And I enjoyed Cain Velasquez. I think people were like, why should we care about Cain Velasquez? I'm like, he's a fantastic professional wrestler. This feud with Lesnar could be really, really good. It has the potential to be really, really good. We all know what happens with potential in Brock Lesnar feuds. Look at Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 32. 31? It was the one where they crowned the first ever women's champion with the new belt. It was that one. I know it was Dallas. My brain says 31, so let's go 31. This can be something good. This can be something really good. We just have to hope WWE plays their cards right and doesn't give us too much Cain Velasquez. That's my whole thing. It's a shame Kofi lost the title. Hell in a Cell's ending was a shame. NXT and AEW were good. SmackDown got a 4.0 rating, which is their highest in a long time. Fox had a 2.3 on Monday, I believe. So technically, not Fox. Raw had a 2.3 on Monday. So apparently Raw wins the rating war for week 2 so far. SmackDown hasn't happened yet. Won't happen until tomorrow. But that's all the time I got for tonight, guys. So much fun just coming out here and talking about pro wrestling for a little under an hour. Just, getting my opinions and thoughts out there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @ChurroSolider. If you want to follow this podcast, it's Podcast Armchair. If you want to follow All Things Combat, which is a website where I write stuff about pro wrestling. We also cover boxing and MMA. We're looking for more boxing and possibly some MMA writers. If you guys are interested and just want to get opinions and thoughts out there, shoot us an email, shoot us a DM. We're always open. We probably have somebody up at somehow or somewhere. I know I'm up at like 9:30 at night. I'm actually really tired, so we'll see what happens with the rest of the night. I got some stuff I want to get done, but who knows if that's going to happen. If you also, I'm the sports editor over the Cauldron. If you want to read what we do over there, any of the sports stuff that I typically read about, I wrote one arts and entertainment piece, so at least it's something different. If you want to read any of that stuff and follow and support what I do over there, along with everybody else that's on that very talented editorial and writing staff, it is @CSU Cauldron. I will have 2 links in the description below to my tennis articles. And I keep forgetting to mention this when I mention All Things Combat because I'm bad at plugging stuff half the time. We got merch. We got hats. We got shirts. We got hoodies. We got coffee cups. We got mouse pads. We got bags. We got more shirts. We got stuff that you guys can wear. We got jackets now too, I believe. It's all this amazing stuff that you guys can buy. The link to the Spreadshirt for that stuff will be below. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to, feel free to subscribe. If you want to hit the like button, go ahead and do that. Any and all feedback from you guys is always appreciated. Links to everything will be in the description below. The subscribe button's like right over there in the left-hand corner of your screen. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on what you're using. Maybe you're watching this on Switch. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for listening. Next week, I'll figure something out again. Also, next week, I need to check really quickly and see when that is. Because there's going to be a slight change for 1 week with the podcast. I'm not going to say it yet. So not next week, but the week after, there will be a slight change that I will fill you guys in on when it gets here. For right now, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, like, subscribe, follow on Twitter, all the good stuff. and you guys will hear me in this horrible voice complain about pro wrestling again next week, or compliment it, or say that I'm no longer a pro wrestling fan and that I enjoy watching, I don't know, Greek art dry. I don't know. It's a book I have in front of me for one of my classes for school. But that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.